You think you know how the world began? What if the real story of creation is far deeper than you've ever imagined? Today we will delve into the heart of the opening pages of Genesis, uncovering the power of its symbols, fundamental themes, and their relevance to our contemporary lives. We will explore key themes: the creation of the universe, the mystery of Adam and Eve, the dramatic story of the flood, and much more. These stories, rich in meaning, have parallels in other traditions and raise questions about the nature of faith, knowledge, and human existence. Get ready for a captivating journey. The story of creation, which opens Genesis, is a masterpiece of religious literature. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1 verse 1. These simple yet powerful words have echoed through the centuries as a call to contemplate the origins of all that exists. In the beginning there was nothing, only emptiness and darkness. But God was there, and by His word He decided to bring the universe to life. With a commanding voice, He said, "Let there be light." And instantly, a brilliant light appeared, dispelling the darkness. God separated the light from the darkness, calling the light day and the darkness night. This was the first day. The next day, God looked at the waters that covered everything and said, "Let there be an expanse between the waters to separate them." Thus, He created the sky, a clear space above the waters. Evening fell and morning rose again. This was the second day. On the following day, God said, "Let the waters under the sky gather in one place, and let dry ground appear." He formed the dry ground, calling it land, and the waters, which He called seas. But He didn't stop there. He said, "Let the land produce vegetation, plants, seeds, and trees that bear fruit." And suddenly the earth was covered in greenery, fields of grass, forests of fruit-bearing trees, and all kinds of vegetation. It was a beautiful day, and the third evening arrived. The next day, God turned His attention to the sky and said, "Let there be lights in the sky to separate the day from the night and to mark the seasons, days, and years." He created the sun to light the day, the moon to shine at night, and the stars to sparkle across the vast expanse. The sky became a magnificent canvas. And so the fourth day passed. On the fifth morning, God said, "Let the waters teem with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the sky." Immediately, the seas were filled with fish and marine creatures, both great and small, while the skies were filled with vibrant birds. God blessed them, telling them to multiply and fill the waters and the skies. Evening came and the fifth day ended. On the sixth morning, God said, "Let the land produce living creatures." Livestock, reptiles, and all kinds of wild animals. The earth became alive with creatures. but he had saved the best for last. God then said, "Let us make mankind in our image and our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish, the birds, the animals, and the whole earth." He created man and woman, gave them authority over everything, and said, "Be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it." God looked at everything he had made, and it was very good. Evening fell, and the sixth day ended. The next day everything was complete. God gazed upon his perfect creation and chose to rest. He blessed that day and made it holy because the work of creation was finished. Thus, in 7 days God created the heavens, the earth, and all that is in them, offering humanity a world full of beauty and life. All creation in the spiritual sense was made by the Word, and finally, man was created on the sixth day. God himself came down and formed man with his hands because man is his likeness. Every human being is the image of God and embodies divinity, but this divinity was stripped away due to original sin. We will discuss this further in the next section. Scientists, on the other hand, claim that the world formed over billions of years, while the Bible states that God created everything in 6 days and rested on the seventh. So, who is telling the truth? Is the Creator lying, or are the scientists? Share your thoughts in the comments. Genesis is not unique in its exploration of origins. Myths like the Epic of Gilgamesh or Enuma Elish present striking similarities. In Enuma Elish, for instance, the god Marduk creates order from chaos by defeating Tiamat, a primordial deity. However, unlike these myths, the biblical narrative stands out for its lack of divine conflict. God creates solely through the power of his word. He is, therefore, the only living one and the sole creator. The creation story raises questions still relevant today. How can science and faith be reconciled? What role does humanity play as the steward of creation? These questions resonate with modern debates on ecology and sustainability. We now turn to humanity in the Garden of Eden, where humanity is at the center of everything. According to Genesis, Adam and Eve, the first humans, lived in the Garden of Eden. This idyllic place is described as a realm of perfect communion between God, man, and creation. However, at the garden's center, 2 trees stand out: the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God gave one prohibition: "You shall not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die." Through this command, death was created because every word that proceeds from God's mouth becomes reality. This prohibition symbolizes free will. Humanity is free to choose between obedience and rebellion. When the serpent tempts Eve, it sows doubt: "You will not certainly die, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Genesis 3 verses 4 to 5. This temptation represents humanity's desire to transcend its limits, often at the cost of divine harmony. Eve was the first to yield, eating the fruit, and then gave some to Adam. When Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit, they became aware of their vulnerability, they realized they were naked, and as a result, they were expelled from the garden. This fall marks the separation between God and humanity, as well as the introduction of labor, pain, and death into the human experience. This story is often interpreted as an allegory of the human condition. What does it mean for our lives today? How do we understand freedom and its boundaries in a complex world? After committing sin, the Lord God said to the serpent,
"Because you have done this, cursed are you above all livestock and all wild animals. You will crawl on your belly, and you will eat dust all the days of your life. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and hers. He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel."
To the woman he said,
"I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you."
To Adam he said,
"Because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat from it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food, until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and to dust you will return."
The Lord God said,
"The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat and live forever."
So the Lord God banished him from the Garden of Eden to work the ground from which he had been taken. After he drove the man out, he placed cherubim and a flaming sword flashing back and forth to guard the way to the tree of life.